Hi, Congressman. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm glad you're here. And welcome to CPAC Day 1 here at RSBN. How has your CPAC been so far?
Well, I just got here.
Yes.
So far, so good. You're the first one I'm sitting down with, and then I'm speaking on a panel about ESG here in a little bit.
Yes.
So looking forward to that.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit about that. We've been seeing that a lot over the past few years, specifically with places like BlackRock, how it's impacted and how it's honestly impacted your state of West Virginia with energy being a big portion of the government in the state.
Well, first, I was state treasurer of West Virginia before this, and so I was the first elected official in the United States to divest our tax dollars out of BlackRock. And we started a coalition of states all over the country to follow us in that process and do that. And then started also what's called a restricted financial institution list. So basically, if you were and are currently boycotting the fossil fuel industry, you're going to be ineligible for a financial services contract with the state of West Virginia or any of those other states that were in my coalition that started also a restricted financial institution list. So Texas being one of those, which is a good one. It's great when West Virginia does something. We're a little state. It's great though when we get Texas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and some of these, Pennsylvania, and some of these other ones come in. That's a big deal for us. So ESG obviously still exists. The president has done a tremendous amount to push back on that through executive order, but it's in I'd say dormant stage, at least in some parts of the financial services sector right now and in the government, but I don't think it means that it's dead.
Yes.
And so we need to stay certainly vigilant on that.
Awesome. Well, yes. Well, too, I wanted to talk to you about what's going on now with reciprocal tariffs. I know you're passing a bill in Congress right now. Well,
I hope I'm passing it. I got the bill.
Yes, it's a good start right now. But President Trump's actually talked about this since he came to CPAC in 2011, placing tariffs against China. Tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing.
Well, yeah, and so my bill and what the president's talking about here more recently are reciprocal tariffs.
Yes.
And what my bill is trying to address is not only, I'll start with what that is, right? It's reciprocity, where we can reciprocate whatever tariff we are facing here in the United States, then we will reciprocate with that country. So, for instance, India has a 100% tariff on U.S. manufactured motorcycles. So then we'd be able to reciprocate up to 100%. Now, part of the issue, though, it's not always just the tariff that's prohibitive that prevents U.S. manufacturers entry into that market. There's non-tariff barriers to trade in there as well. So that could be government subsidies, regulations, a VAT, a whole list of items that make it more difficult, where you might see a tariff on a U.S. automobile in Europe, say around 10%, but really the entry point in terms of the additional cost in there is more like 25% because of those non-tariff barriers. So that's what my bill is trying to address, is those non-tariff trade barriers that exist, so the president could reciprocate with a country that say maybe they're like 10, 20%, but when you add those other things in, it's more like 30, 40,
yes.
And so then we could reciprocate to that level as well. And the goal here is, as we've seen the president, is when you reciprocate and you raise tariffs, what does it equal? More free trade.
Yes.
Because everyone's going to end up lowering their tariffs. It's not that we want just tariffs sky high, forever. That's not the point of this. The point is to actually help American companies. This country's done a great job at promoting free trade, but for other countries.
Yes.
So now it's time to do it for our guys.
Absolutely, and being taken advantage of the American people, and that's what he campaigned on from the start. I also wanted to touch base with you, too, on the idea of protecting life. I know we're a Christian network here, where it's a big proponent of what we talk about a lot of times. President Trump just passed an executive order putting in place more IVF treatment for women, being in 13% of women, I believe, are infertile and try and get IVF treatments. What do you think about that?
Well, I would tell you, as a Roman Catholic, we have a certain position on IVF that might not necessarily comport with that executive order. And I would say, look, there are a lot of children out there, and we have them in our system in West Virginia that need to be adopted.
Yes.
And, a lot of grandparents have turned into parents and all these other things, and there's a lot of folks that need support out there. And I understand absolutely people wanting to have the ability to have a child, create life, but there's a lot of lives that need help out there as well. I will point out West Virginia is the only state, to my knowledge, after the Dobbs decision that we proactively went and passed an abortion ban in our legislature. It wasn't, states had trigger laws.
Yes.
We went and proactively passed it after that to solidify that abortion is illegal in the state of West Virginia. We're not talking 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It is 0 weeks in West Virginia.
Yes.
So if you are somebody that believes in life, West Virginia is a great state to live in.
Absolutely. And even Melania Trump putting her Be Best campaign forward with the foster care system, being a huge proponent of that as well. And Appalachia, of course, with J.D. Vance as vice president, spent a lot of time in that region and campaigned a lot in that region, understands the people of West Virginia, Ohio, all the major states that they were able to campaign in. But thank you so much for talking with us, Congressman. It was wonderful to speak to you.
Well, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.